My name is Peter, I'm 35 years old, and I work as the sales manager for a major electronics manufacturer. My wife was taken by a guy I know from work, but maybe you've had a similar experience. Today, I'm going to tell you a story about the surprising punishment I gave in response to that. My wife, Mary, is the same age as me and works at the same company. We got married within the company. Actually, Mary's father is the president of the company, and Mary works as his secretary. It was quite a surprise when the president introduced me to his daughter and we started dating. I was the top performer in sales within the company, and I became the first sales manager in my 30s, earning a lot of favor from the president. Mary is very beautiful and has a great figure, and she was very popular within the company. The president wanted to marry her off to me before any bad influences could get to her. From the beginning of our relationship, Mary had a strong personality and often spoke from a high position, but I was still attracted to that part of her. We bonded over our shared love of movies and quickly got married. It seemed like our married life was going smoothly. But then, I started to suspect that Mary was cheating on me. At the beginning of our marriage, the balance between home and work was very good, and thanks to Mary taking care of all the housework, I was able to focus on my job and improve my sales performance even more. On our days off, we enjoyed movies together in our home theater, leading a smooth married life. Later, I was promoted to head of the sales department, and my work became even busier, but I was grateful for Mary's support and worked hard. However, after my promotion, I had more business trips and late-night work, and I was often away from home. Instead of being worried, Mary started to suspect that I was the one cheating. I was surprised by Mary's suspicion and denied it, but she didn't clear her doubts, and my busy days continued. One day, negotiations at my business trip went smoothly, so I was able to come home earlier than planned. I decided to surprise Mary by not telling her about my early return and brought a lot of souvenirs home. However, when I rang the doorbell, there was no response. After ringing it again, Mary finally came out. I finished work earlier than expected, so I came home. I brought some souvenirs too. I spoke to the camera while showing the souvenirs.
Wait a moment, I'll open the door now.
Mary said that and finally opened the door. When I entered the entrance, there were a pair of men's shoes I didn't recognize. Is there a guest here? A guy from the client company, Glenn, appeared while greeting.
No, we were just having a work meeting. Glenn is really dedicated to his work, isn't he?
I entered the house and looked at the living room table, which had half-drunk beer glasses and pizza, looking more like a party than a work meeting. Have you been drinking?
Yes, Glenn is really strong with alcohol. Why don't you join us since you're here?
Mary and Glenn were sitting side by side at the table, and I sat alone across from them. So, Glenn, is your work done?
Yes, thanks to you, it's almost finished.
I thought to myself that if he had finished work early, he wouldn't be working at someone's house, but I kept a smile on my face. In the first place, Mary never had direct work discussions with client salespeople. What were you discussing? It was an important matter that Dad asked me to handle. I don't think you'd understand even if I told you. Glenn's father is the president of a client company, and it's an important client for our company. Since the presidents are close, it might not be an impossible story, but looking at the two in front of me, I couldn't take their words at face value.
Are you suspecting something about us? Are you?
Glenn grinned. No, nothing like that. Mary and Glenn started talking more intimately, and just watching them made me uncomfortable. Glenn seemed frivolous, but I was unsure whether to say something. However, I felt that nothing would be resolved if I didn't, so I decided to get to the truth. Mary's attitude was clearly suspicious. From that day on, Glenn started coming to our house frequently. Mary would openly call Glenn in front of me.
Hey Glenn, do you want to drink together today? Yes, at my place. Yeah, it's fine. My husband won't be home tonight. He has a client dinner.
After finishing the call, Mary asked me with a smile.
What time will you be home tonight?
Around 11 p.m., I guess.
That's surprisingly early. You can stay out later if you want. You need to entertain the clients.
If I stay out late, you'll suspect me of cheating. I replied with a slightly teasing tone.
Oh, I wouldn't suspect you at all. You can even stay out overnight if you want.
What she said had completely changed from before, and now I was the one suspecting Mary of cheating. It was clear that Mary was treating me as a nuisance. That night, I left the client dinner to other members and decided to go home early around 9 p.m. Of course, I didn't tell Mary anything. I unlocked the door without ringing the doorbell and entered the entrance. There were Glenn's now familiar shoes. "I'm home," I said in a louder voice than usual and went straight to the living room, but Mary and Glenn weren't there. After waiting a bit, the two appeared in a hurry.
What's going on? I was surprised you came home so early. Welcome back. Sorry for intruding.
Glenn greeted me in a flustered manner. "What happened to you two? Your hair is all messy," I said sarcastically. Mary made a slightly annoyed face but quickly composed herself and replied.
You came home earlier than you said, so of course we were surprised.
"Sorry about that." I kept my cool and started thinking about my next move. I felt I had to do something about this situation. "By the way, where were you two?"
Does it really matter where we were?
"Yes, it does." "Glenn, where were you?"
Oh, shut up already. Yeah, if you keep being annoying, I'll tell Dad. If you keep acting like this, maybe I'll tell my parents too. If you don't want a divorce, you better behave. Maybe I'll tell Dad that you're cheating on me during your business trips. That would ruin the deal, wouldn't it? You wouldn't like that, right?
Mary continued with a smirk. "I don't understand at all."
Shut up already.
At that moment, Glenn punched me. "Why did you hit me?"
I warned you to stay quiet. Listen, if you make a fuss, you'll only make things worse for yourself and lose an important client. Just keep quiet and everything will be fine. Finally, you're quiet. Now, let's continue. Alright, Peter, I'm taking Mary.
Glenn put his arm around Mary's shoulder and they headed to the bedroom, flirting. I was shaking with anger, and it took me a while to understand the situation. I've been talking about Mary and Glenn's affair, but the real shocker is the punishment that followed, involving both of their parents. Want to hear about it? Okay. Let's get into the details of the punishment for Mary and Glenn. It became clear that Mary was openly cheating with Glenn, and I was assaulted and threatened by them. I couldn't let this go unpunished. I decided to take action. The president's wife has always been very kind to me, often listening to my personal and family concerns. I also have a good relationship with Glenn's father, who is the president of a client company. Both Mary's father and Glenn's father are big movie buffs, and the three of us often have movie nights together.
I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to cause you so much pain.
The president said with a deep sigh. "Please don't apologize, father-in-law. I was sure of the affair but kept quiet until I had proof. I did it for you and Glenn's father.
Thank you, Peter. So, how do you plan to punish them?
Glenn's father asked. First, before I bring up divorce, I plan to make their affair public within the company. I'll ruin their reputations and demand severe punishment for Glenn.
Understood, I'll fully cooperate.
Mary's father, thinking it would be difficult to continue living together, apologized but said he would respect all my decisions. Thank you. Honestly, I can't continue with Mary anymore. I want a divorce. But before that, I want to make sure they are properly punished.
Got it. Let me help with the punishment. They need to take responsibility.
I was surprised that both Mary's father and Glenn's father agreed to help with the punishment. The day of reckoning arrived. That morning, while getting ready for work, I spoke to Mary. Mary, it's sudden, but I have to go on an overseas business trip starting today. I'll be preparing for the trip and heading straight to the airport.
Oh, that's quite sudden. Well, alright. Will the trip be long since it's overseas?
Yes, about 2 weeks.
Alright, take your time.
Mary's face lit up with joy at the thought of me being away. Seeing her expression, I thought to myself, enjoy it while you can. After Mary left for work, I began preparing for the punishment. First, I set up hidden cameras in the living room and bedroom, and as the most important setup, I installed a home theater projector in the bedroom. Wondering what the projector is for? That's for later. After setting up the equipment, I rehearsed with Mary's father and Glenn's father. I never thought we'd rehearse together. The overseas business trip was a lie to lure Mary into bringing Glenn home. Using the time while Mary was at work, I meticulously checked the equipment and rehearsed multiple times. I was determined to punish them. Both Mary's father and Glenn's father were enthusiastic about helping, and most of the punishment ideas came from them. After setting up the equipment, I joined Mary's father and Glenn's father in the home theater at Mary's father's house. We monitored the footage from the cameras set up in my living room and bedroom remotely. It was still early, and work wasn't over yet, but we couldn't let our guard down as they might come back suddenly. Sure enough, at 3 p.m., Mary and Glenn came back. Glenn was clearly visible in the footage. Already all over each other in the living room, Mary and Glenn headed to the bedroom and started getting intimate. As soon as they looked up at the ceiling, we gave the signal. I operated the projector set up in the bedroom, projecting an image on the ceiling. It was the image of me, Mary's father, and Glenn's father sitting on the sofa in Mary's father's theater room. Mary and Glenn were shocked and screamed.
Sorry to interrupt your fun, but we know everything. We won't forgive you.
Mary and Glenn tried to make excuses, but it was all in vain.
I can't recognize a woman like this as my daughter. Leave the house.
I handed over the prepared divorce papers and told them never to show their faces again. After that, Mary left the house, and I left the legal procedures to my lawyer. Both Mary and Glenn were fired and disowned, leaving them with nowhere to go. I also demanded compensation, and I have no idea how they plan to live from now on. After the divorce, I upgraded the home theater in my house, and now it has become a hangout spot for me, Mary's father, and Glenn's father. Nowadays, I am truly enjoying both my work and personal life.